wind was unusually warm that spring night in Kyoto, carrying with it the scent of Sakura in full bloom. The Takahashi garden, normally closed to the public after sundown, rested beneath a blanket of stars. Its centerpiece, a lone Sakura tree, glowing faintly under the moonlight like a secret whispered between lovers. Hana Takahashi stood by the edge of the garden path, arms crossed, dressed in a soft pink kimono that mirrored the blossoms above. Her fingers clenched the small flashlight she had brought with her, every part of her on edge. She had come out for fresh air, to escape the suffocating silence of her house where wedding invitations were being folded and arranged like death notices. But what she found instead was movement. Subtle, clumsy, and absolutely not from any animal. A flicker of silver light, the click of a camera. She stormed forward without thinking, heels crunching on gravel. "Excuse me," she barked in Japanese, voice sharp and authoritative. "This is private property." The man turned, startled. Young, foreign, messy hair and a camera strap tangled around his neck. His eyes widened as the flashlight beam hit his face. He raised his hands, blinking. "Whoa, okay? I'm sorry, don't call the cops." Hana narrowed her eyes. "Who are you and why are you here?" I was just taking pictures," he stammered in accented Japanese, switching quickly to English. "For a project. I didn't mean to trespass, really." She switched to English, unimpressed. "A project doesn't give you the right to break into a family's ancestral garden." The man exhaled, stepping back. "Look, I know how this looks, but wait." He dug into his backpack and pulled out a worn notebook. Inside was a folded painting. He unfolded it gently. Hana's breath caught. A watercolor, the exact same Sakura, moonlit, its petals brushed with lavender and gold. But what stunned her was not just the accuracy, it was the angle, the feeling. The painting was hers, or rather, it was of the tree only she and her family had access to, the one in the far corner of the garden, untouched by tourists or wedding planners or city pollution. Where did you get this?" she asked, voice dropping. "My mom painted it," he said softly, "before she died. It was her last piece. I've spent months trying to find the tree in real life. I thought it was just symbolic, but then someone online mentioned a Sakura tree in Kyoto that only blooms in moonlight. I had to see it. I needed to." Hana's eyes stayed on the painting, her thoughts racing. Her father would be furious. Her mother would have fainted from shame. And yet, there was something in this stranger's eyes. Not arrogance, not entitlement, but grief. She closed the notebook, slowly handed it back. "You shouldn't be here," she murmured more gently this time. "But maybe just this once." Ethan blinked. "Wait, you're not kicking me out?" "Not yet," she said. "Tomorrow night. Come back after midnight. I'll show you the real Sakura, but only if you promise not to post another thing online." He smiled, a little breathless. "Deal. My name's Ethan, by the way." "Hana," she replied, then turned. "Don't be late." As she walked back toward the house, the petals fell softly behind her, lit silver under the moonlight. For the first time in weeks, she didn't dread tomorrow. Midnight came quietly, wrapped in a hush that made every step feel like a secret. Ethan stood just outside the back gate of the Takahashi estate, a soft wind tugging at his jacket. In one hand he held his camera. In the other, a single white flower he had picked up from the road, now slightly wilted from the walk. The gate creaked open. Hana emerged, her hair tied in a loose bun, dressed in a simple dark yukata with Sakura patterns stitched along the hem. Her eyes met his, then dropped briefly to the flower in his hand. "You're early," she said, her voice a little less guarded than the night before. "I couldn't sleep," Ethan admitted. "And I figured if you were going to kick me out again, I might as well get some stars out of it." Her lips twitched. "Follow me, and don't speak too loudly." My uncle patrols the garden sometimes. They moved in near silence, weaving through stone paths and low bridges, past trees that bent like old spirits under moonlight. The garden smelled of moss and memory. Ethan found himself slowing down, not just to avoid making noise, but to feel. Finally, they stopped. The Sakura tree stood in the far corner, partially hidden by a ring of smaller bushes. It looked almost ethereal, its blossoms a shade paler than pink, tinged with violet, glowing faintly under the silver moon. Not artificial, not exaggerated, just quiet magic. "It's dying," Hana said. Ethan turned sharply. "What?" She stepped closer, not touching the tree, only looking at it the way one might look at a person too fragile to be held. "The soil's poisoned. Slow, invisible. We think it's the new highway. They started construction 2 years ago. The roots can't breathe." "Is that why it only blooms at night?" "It always did," she said. "But now it's weaker. Every year, fewer petals, less color." Her voice dropped. "My family doesn't want the public to know. If the sponsors find out, they'll pull the funding. We're already in debt from maintaining the estate." Ethan lowered his camera. For once, he didn't feel like documenting. He felt like listening. "I can take photos," he said gently. "Only for you. No publishing. No shows, just memory." She turned to him. "Why do you care so much?" He hesitated. Then, quietly, "Because this tree is the last piece of my mother I haven't lost." Hana blinked slowly. The moonlight caught the shimmer of something unspoken in her eyes. Then, in a softer voice, she said, "Would you like to see something else?" They moved to a nearby bench beneath the tree. Hana produced a small wooden box from under the seat. Inside were cups, a tea whisk, and a small kettle. "You know how to make tea?" Ethan asked, surprised. "My grandmother taught me when I was 5, she said, kneeling gracefully. "It's the only tradition I still hold on to. Everything else, I'm being asked to trade for a marriage contract." Ethan sat across from her, watching as she moved with practiced ease, whisking the matcha, pouring it in silence. The ritual calmed the air around them. When she handed him the bowl, their fingers touched briefly. A jolt, familiar and new at once. Ethan took a sip, then smiled. "It tastes like spring." "You're just saying that," she said, but her smile betrayed her. "No," he replied. "It's bitter, but warm, like something trying its best to survive." He looked at her for a long time, then whispered, "You're like this tree." Hana tilted her head. "Excuse me?" "Beautiful," he said. "But everyone only sees you in the dark." The silence that followed was not awkward. It was full, like a held breath before a kiss, or the pause between petals falling. Neither of them moved. Not yet. Morning came with a gentler breeze, brushing through the garden like a sigh. But the softness didn't reach Hana. She stood in front of the main house, hands folded neatly in front of her kimono, while her father's assistant read out a list of wedding preparations. The name Tatsuya echoed too often in that courtyard, like a bell she didn't ask to hear. "Will he be joining us for tea this weekend?" her aunt asked politely. "Yes," her father answered before Hana could speak. "It's time they spent more time together." Hana bowed as tradition demanded, but her voice felt like dried ink when she replied, "Of course." Later that afternoon, she snuck away. Ethan sat cross-legged by the Sakura tree, flipping through a stack of Polaroids. Each one captured the same moment, the night blossoms, slightly blurred, glowing. But none of them felt right. He heard soft footsteps behind him. "Couldn't stay away?" he asked without turning. "I needed to breathe," Hana said simply, sinking down beside him. "What are you doing?" "Failing," he muttered. "This tree is impossible. Every time I think I've captured its soul, the photo ends up flat." She picked up a Polaroid and studied it. "Maybe it's not the tree. Maybe it's the way you see it." He paused. "How do you mean?" You're trying too hard to make it perfect, she said. But this tree isn't perfect anymore. It's fading. You're trying to immortalize something that only exists because it won't last. He stared at her. You sound like my art professor. Maybe she was smart. He laughed. She failed me, actually. Hana chuckled, then leaned back against the bench. I brought something, Ethan said, and pulled a cloth-wrapped box from his bag. Inside was a vintage camera. Leather casing, slightly worn but clearly well kept.